Watuppa Water Board will come to order. Mr. Furlong, roll call, please.
President Pearson.
Here.
Member Pennell.
Here.
Member Ferrer.
Here.
The open meeting law statement is as follows. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recording or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Mr. Furlong, please. First item on the agenda.
Yep, citizens input. I don't believe there's any citizens here. No one signed up for citizens input.
Next item.
Item number 2 would be customer appeals or abatements. There hasn't been any that were submitted after the last meeting, so
We'll move down to minutes of the previous meeting. Is there a motion to waive the reading of the previous meeting?
I'll motion. Second.
Motion is unanimous. Next item, please.
So we waived, did we approve?
Yes. Item 4.
Item 4, you'll have within your packet, you have a packet of abatements. These have been reviewed by our staff and recommended as noted on the sheet. There are total
12.
Total amount of $5,872.79. There is no denials within this packet. They all were compliant with the leak abatement policy.
The chair would ask, are there any questions pertaining to the abatements by the board? Assuming that everything is okay with that, we'll move on to the next item.
Motion to approve the abatements is listed. Second.
Motion for the abatements to be moved is unanimous. Next item, Mr. Furlong.
Next item, item number 5, is the Phase 19 Water Stantec contract. In your packet, you had the draft contract provided by Stantec. This contract is in the amount of $685,000. This is for design of the Phase 19 water main replacements. Those streets include Charlotte Street from New Boston Road to President Ave, from Rock Street to Ellsbury, Race Street from New Boston Road to Hood Street, and Rock Street from Prospect to Bedford. Through the design process, it's a total of 11,390 feet. That's expected to be designed with a reduction of 79 lead services if all these streets are constructed. Contract's broken down into 3 parts, though. I just want to know actual design of the Phase 19 water main replacement is $222,500. That's task 4. Task 1 through 3 is something that we requested for Stantec to provide us an estimate on and include within this contract, which is in the amount of $52,500, and that is to do a siting study for a redundant water main from our water treatment plant. Currently, as you know, we have the 36-inch main that feeds from our treatment plant up through and ties into our distribution system in Bedford Street. So this will be a study that will give us, cite us a location, give us a couple of different options of where to install a new either 24 or 36-inch main, which will act as a redundant line feed from our plant and feed into the system. The other sum that we have within here is the $410,000 for construction oversight and management of the Phase 19 water main replacement. Up on the board there, you can see through the contract. I know the board has seen these pictures many times before, but just for the public identification, to the left there is a fire hydrant with the rusty water coming out over the years, we're currently on phase 19. We started with phase 1 and have done roughly one phase per year. We've been replacing those mains throughout the city. We've done roughly about 60 miles of water mains. The old tuberculated cast iron mains in the center picture there, you can see the tuberculation, that's a 6-inch main. The actual open where the water is able to pass through is less than an inch. On the bottom right-hand side, you can see the ductile iron cement line main. That's what it's being replaced with. Over the years, we've been able to reduce the dirty water complaints and multiple other pressure and volume issues throughout the city by this main replacement project. So this is the first step to move forward with the replacement on those streets is the design contract, so that we can move forward with the design, have a design complete by early springtime so that we can bid it in the springtime.
How many steps in the project?
How many steps in the project? So there's a total of 6 tasks throughout this project for the design and construction management. So we'll go through and we'll 1 through 3 again is the separate siting of the location of the redundant water line. Task 4 is for the design of the mains as as I read before, and task 5 and 6 is the construction oversight portion of it. So those are the different steps in this contract.
Are there any questions on the contract? Is there a motion to accept the contract?
Motion. Second.
Motion passes unanimous. Next item, Mr. Furlong.
Next item on your agenda is a change order for Weston Sampson. This is in the amount of $175,000. Weston Sampson is the engineer that's overseeing the construction management. They also did the design for us on the water meter replacement project. So originally with the water meter replacement project, we were looking to do about half the city with AMR replacements. Once we got into the project, we've decided that we felt it would be best to move forward and replace all the AMR R900 units throughout the whole entire city. So that way we're starting with a clean bill of health. Clean bill of health, fresh slate with everything being replaced rather than half being replaced and half not. This was requested by us. We do have the available funding within the project to move forward with this project.
Is this city money funding this project?
This is SRF, so State Revolving Fund. A portion of this, we are going to get some contribution from the sewer division as well as we move forward, since the meters do read water and sewer. The water reading is used to bill for sewer.
Any
So
questions from the board?
As I may or may not have said, this is Weston Sampson in the amount of $175,000.
Is there a motion to accept?
Motion. Second.
Motion passes unanimous.
The next one is a change order for Core in Maine. Again, in parallel, you're going to see there was Weston Sampson, Core in Maine, and then we'll have 2 more after this. Core in Maine was the provider of large meters through the meter replacement project. This is actually a reduction in cost of their contract. Reduction amount is $62,098. That's just because once we got into the actual construction of the project, there was reduced amounts of meters needed from the supplier. They were supplying the Octave 2-inch and larger meters. So once we actually got through, did all of our surveys, we were able to reduce the amount that we needed to purchase from them.
The only question I have is, when you say a reduction, does that money stay within the water department, or does it go to the general fund?
There is no way for any of our money to be able to transfer to the general fund. This money stays within this fund. This is actually a separate loan authorization that's within the water department. So it does stay with that authorization, and it becomes available to be used.
It's part of our budget. Thank you.
Yes.
Next item,
Motion to approve. Second.
motion passes unanimous.
The next item is a change order for Thai Sales. They are the Neptune provider, the one that won the contract for our Neptune meters, and also the Neptune meter reading system. The amount of the change order is $250,000, $250,706. This is for an increase in the supply of the RF modules, the R900s. That's the gray boxes that go on the side of the house. There's also a increase in the amount of smaller meters, 2-inch and below, that are being provided, since we're planning on doing the whole entire city.
Did this company not know they were getting the whole contract, or?
This is additional units that we have requested.
Correct. So we,
Same bid cost, we're just asking for more to be done at our request.
Very good. Any questions from the board?
No.
Is there a motion to accept?
Motion. Second.
Motion's unanimous. Next item, please.
item number 9 is for Felch Engineering. They are the company that's actually doing the install of the AMR units and the meters. Again, they bid the project. We are increasing from doing half the city to doing the full city. The increased amount of their contract is $188,680.50. That's the estimated increase based on the numbers that we have for the citywide. They're doing the AMR, so they're doing the replacement of the boxes on the side of the house. And just while we're here, I'll take a minute just to go over what we're doing in the project, just so that people are aware of it. This is all related to us being able to read the meters, the water meters that are in the house. With this project, we're going around, and there's a small gray box, 3x5 gray box that's on the side of the house that's connected to your water meter with a wire. We're going around, and Felch Engineering and one of their subsidiaries, WMS, Water Maintenance Service, are replacing those boxes. So they go up to the side of the house. They're in fully lettered clothing, USI, WMS, or Felch Engineering, leaded vehicle, stating the name of their company on the side of it. They're going up to the side of the house, taking the AMR box off, a couple of Scotch locks to reconnect the wire, reattaching the AMR box. Somebody coming up to the house like that will never ask to gain entry to the house or never want to come in the house. Later on in the project, within a couple of weeks, we'll be sending out, Felch Engineering will be sending out mailers for the houses that we do need to gain entry to. So any house that we went to and either the AMR box wasn't on the exterior of the house, or there was a disconnect between the AMR and the meter inside the house, we need to gain entry to that house to be able to replace the meter and move the AMR box outside, or replace the AMR box or the wire. Felch will be sending out cards to all those addresses on there, asking that the people call and schedule an appointment. The only way that somebody will ask to get into your house is if they have a scheduled appointment, they're in their fully marked clothing and fully marked car. There won't be anybody just randomly coming up at any time asking to gain entry to the house. I went through the process to be able to schedule one of those appointments. Very simple. You get the card in, there's a phone number on there, call the phone number, give them your address, nice lady on the phone, they'll come up and be able to schedule an appointment. They will have a limited numbers of night and weekend appointments available, but those are limited for people that aren't able to be there sometime during the day to be able to do that. We're going to be starting off, we're estimating roughly about 2,000 houses that we'll have to actually gain entry to out of the 20,000 accounts that we have throughout the city. So with those 2,000 houses, again, it'll be a pre-scheduled appointment. We plan on taking those in groups of about 300 to 400, and the contractor will be tackling those at those points, so. Just wanted to give a little rundown. Again, the change order here is for the meter install company, Belch Engineering, in the amount of $188,680.50.
How many problems have they run into, if any?
We've had a couple of people call, you know, that they didn't get notification, that they didn't know the project was going on. The project has been advertised in the newspaper multiple times, has been on the city website. We've mentioned it for about a year now at all these water board meetings, sewer commission meetings. We've really tried to get the word out there about this ongoing project. So that's typically the type of call or problem that we get. We have had maybe 3 residents where the residents didn't want the installer on the property at all. And our contractor, we tell them to, you know, just to leave. They get put on an exception report to us. One of our water service inspectors makes contact with the property owner. Typically, when it's us going back there, they allow us to do the upgrade. So it's been taking some coordination between our water service inspectors, Tom's office. Tom's been on top of the contractor and the installs through this whole through this whole entire process. You know, and his staff between the billing clerks and the water service inspectors. You know, one thing that we know we're going to run into with an issue is when we get into these meter replacements with the valve upstream and downstream, to be able to isolate it, to be able to remove the meter. A lot of older houses may have valves that are inoperable or whale valves that we won't touch. So those may need to be replaced. The other option is for us to go outside and turn it off at the curb stop. If that curb stop, which is part of the service leading into the house, the property owner's curb stop, if that is not functional, that may need to be dug at that point to make that functional as well. So we're expecting some problems. We're trying to plan ahead and prepare for those problems, but as we know, no matter how much preparation, sometimes we get some surprises. So.
The valves on either side of the meter is the responsibility of the property owner.
Correct.
Be kept in good and operable condition.
Correct.
Now, all new construction in the last year's got these new meters?
Yes, so these meters, so the new AMR boxes that are on the exterior of the house, 154s, they're called them, based on the serial number compared to the old 144s. Those have been around for about 3 years now. Yeah, so any replacement that our staff has done has the new radio box. We're not replacing those because they're already new. Any new construction have the new one. We're not replacing those because they're already new. So contractor knows the spreadsheet that we gave him, we identified all those, and he knows not to touch those.
In regards to timeline for the project, how much longer do we expect it to take with the additional meter installs?
So we're expecting probably about an early spring completion. The contractor is going to be working right through the winter. They are going to be getting some additional staff in. They're having one project close out in Orleans, and then they'll be moving some additional staff in here for the small meter replacements and AMRs. But we're expecting early spring to mid-spring to be complete with the project.
They're not going to do anything during the winter.
They will be working,
Some.
yeah, right through the winter. They're not planning on stopping, correct. Again, it's the AMR replacement, the box on the side of the house. Unless they have heavy snowfall or something, that would be the only thing that would really stop them. And again, if we have to get to the curb stop, then it becomes an issue of being able to dig in the winter. But
That'll be the entire city? They're added once a week?
the ones that were, right, so with all these change orders, we'll be changing it out, so I'd say the entire city minus the ones that we've already done.
There being any other questions? If not, is there anybody want to approve the contract?
Motion to approve the change order? Second.
Change order is approved unanimously. Next item on the agenda, please.
So next item that you have within your packet is just some contract updates. So again, these are some contracts that were under the requirement to come to board approval, but as I said, I like to bring these to the board so that the board is well aware of everything that's going on within the division. One of the first ones is a flow fill for in concrete contract. This is to Preferred Concrete. This is in the amount of $50,000. This is the yearly contract that we go out for the flow fill that's required whenever we dig a trench within the right of way, and also the concrete we use for sidewalks. Next one that I have in my list would be for the bids for the FY 2020 construction materials for the water maintenance division. So again, every year we go out for materials for our water maintenance division, corporations, couplings. We bid that out and then we use them throughout the year as needed, on an as needed basis, but we need to go through an award to be able to set up a PO. For various pipes and fittings, E.J. Prescott was awarded $21,621. John Holliday and Sons was awarded $24,482.50. And Stiles Company was awarded $10,059.35.
And these were all updates, correct?
This is all a yearly bid that we go out for, yes.
In the past, there's a summary of all of the items and which company was located on those.
That was my next question. Those are all low bids.
Correct.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion passes unanimous.
Does it require a motion? It's just an update.
It is just an update, but
Okay.
just for the record.
Correct. The one other one that was awarded to was also lab sampling, so our annual sampling that's required to go out for water treatment plant. That is awarded to Rhode Island Analytical in the amount of $19,630.75. We have used them in the past and we have been happy with their work, so once they submitted a bid, we did award to them.
If there are no questions, we can move on to the next item.
Next item, item number 11, is open meeting law response within your packet. We had two violations submitted by Colin Dias.
Two complaints.
Two complaints.
Yeah.
Mr. Sullivan did respond to those complaints. That was sent to the complainant and the state. We did since receive from the state letters saying that we were in compliance with the law, and if the complainant had any additional, he could appeal the decision of the state open meeting law. We did not feel that we were in violation as the complainant stated, and that was laid out in Mr. Sullivan's response.
And so because our last meeting was July 23rd, the complaint came in a couple of days later. I filed the notice to the complainant and to the Attorney General's office on July 27th. But as you see at the end, the board is supposed to vote, so at the end of that letter, I've identified that this letter is being provided to the board, and at the next scheduled meeting, they'll take a vote to either approve or give any further input. So for the record, I need your approval of my letter to comply with the open meeting law.
So is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion is unanimous. Next item.
So next item, we have other business, just a couple things that I wanted to go over. Within the water Administration Division Office. We've had Sheila Powers. She is now the project specialist. She's been with the Water Administration Division for a long time. She's been a billing clerk over there. She applied for the position, was promoted up to project specialist. We feel Sheila has all the abilities to be able to move forward and work in that position. Tom Ty held that position prior to being promoted to the Director of Administration, and Dave Tell was in that position prior to that, but we're very comfortable with Sheila's ability to be able to perform all the tasks. So she will be doing that. Working with the billing clerks, that job kind of oversees the abatements for the water and sewer divisions. Also does deals with troubled customers and troubled properties, troubleshooting on billing issues for water and sewer division. She also will deal with some administrative budgeting for the multi-year budgeting, auditing of construction projects in that aspect. So we're very happy to have Sheila in, and now we need to find a replacement for her as a billing clerk. So
Sheila, congratulations on your
Thank
appointment.
you, Mr. Peterson.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Don't forget to smile.
Thank you.
I have one
They
other
can see the
thing,
smile through the phone.
Other business, unless you.
No, go right ahead.
So, the one other thing that I just want to say, under other business, is a thank you to Mr. Sullivan. This is probably his last water board meeting, working for this side of the municipality. Started working for the city in 1983, over 33 years of professionalism devoted to his career here at the city.
That would make him 14 when he started.
I wish.
So just a couple of things that Mr. Sullivan has done for the water department throughout his tenure here working for water, sewer, and also actually I think his career at the water department started even prior to that, because he was an operator at the water treatment.
1980.
So,
Right after years gone.
yeah, so he started out as an operator, left us, and then came back. But some of the many things that he did was many upgrades at the water treatment plant itself. 2005, we went through major upgrades, dealing with multiple issues, whether it be corrosion of the pipes and lead service issues, different consent orders related to that, and working through to come up with solutions. Water tank rehabs, if you look about 15 years ago, all of our water tanks were in horrible shape. Mr. Sullivan spearheaded the ability to be able to get the funding and be able to rehab all those tanks within our water system. The actual water main rehab was started over almost 20 years ago, probably over 20 years ago now, by Mr. Sullivan and the administration that was here at this time. Back then there was dirty water complaints. I can't even imagine, but I've heard about them running rampant between coming into board, complaints to board members, complaints to councilors, people in front of city council shaking their jar of dirty water. And Mr. Sullivan came up with the program to be able to move forward to address that issue. One of the pictures I showed earlier showed what was coming out of the hydrant. It's tough to find a hydrant that looks like that now. With that, he's also taken into consideration road repairs and repairing the roads as we do dig them up. That was one of his things. He did work for DPW for a period of time, so he did get the roadway complaints as well. So he's always been pretty instrumental to try to make sure that we have the roads done as well. Improvements out of the reservation, whether it's supporting Forester, Michael Borsia, or just supporting all the initiatives that are taken out there by other groups and organizations to be able to move it forward. The water maintenance building, so behind us over here, we've talked about it at prior meetings. Without him, we really wouldn't be able to move forward with that project. Meter upgrades in the past, he's been through a couple of them, and he's also helped us through this one that we're currently undergoing. the 1873 pump station. So that building 8 years ago was in disrepair, holes in the roof, ready to fall on itself. We now have a stabilized building and we're going to be able to move forward. We weren't able to get an office in there for him before he retired, but coming up in the future, we can hopefully have a plaque in there for him. But those are just a couple of the things that he's done for the water department over the many years. You know, so he's really helped out the water department visibility-wise. You know, the couple other things I didn't mention was being here in front of the board all the time, being in front of the city council all the time, and the residents. So, just wanted to thank him for his
Being out at
service.
3 o'clock in the morning in a snowstorm when he shouldn't be.
I've recently went on one of Mr. Sullivan's tours of the old pumping station, and I thought I knew what I was looking at until you listened to him. I mean, just 1873, you know, think of that. And that building is still standing, and looks relatively well for its age. And my only complaint to him was, can we fix that front door? And he said, in due time.
As I said at the sewer commission meeting, Mr. Ferlin put this under other business, because if this was an agenda item, I would have crossed it right off the agenda.
Well, I think I speak on behalf of the board. We thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Definitely.
Job.
That funny hat that you wear when you go out, are you passing that on to Paul?
I haven't decided yet. I have it till midnight on Friday, so I'm not sure.
You go home at
Thank
5.
Thank you all. Just on the water main replacement, thank you. It was started with Joe Rigo, Gentero, and Mayor Lambert. I came in just as it was being started, so I was part of it, but Joe Rigo, rest his soul, and he was one of the driving forces to get that going. But thank
So
you.
that we had somebody at the wheel to steer the ship. Nothing else, Mr. Furlong?
That's it.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Watuppa Water Board